Grand Rising Tribe, remember the last time you felt a surge of panic or a reaction you couldn't control? Most of the world, and maybe even your own inner critic, had you to feel that you were, let's say, glitching. We spend so much of our precious energy trying to fix our anxiety, fix our reactions, and fix what we've been told are like broken parts of our personality. We treat our bodies like a machine with a loose wire. But what if I told you, what if those wires aren't loose? What if that surge is actually a signal? What if I told you that your nervous system isn't broken? It's actually following an ancient, divine blueprint that was drafted long before you took your first breath. You aren't a collection of symptoms to be managed. What you are is a masterpiece of biological and spiritual architecture. Today, we're looking at the architecture of identity. We're going into the Word to see how you were rendered in the secret place and how understanding your original design is the first step to true, unshakable peace. You were known before you were named. Let's find out who the architect says you really are. Look at this tree. Before it reached the clouds, before it weathered the storms, it was a data set inside a seed. It had a contract of growth that it didn't have to negotiate, it just had to follow. Jeremiah 1:5 gives us the same assurance for our own lives. The Creator says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Think about the weight of those words. Before I formed you. This means there was a version of you that existed in the spirit before there was a version of you that had a name, a social security number, or even a nervous system. This is your contract of identity. You aren't a random occurrence. You are a deliberate rendering of a divine idea. And when the text says, "He knew you," the Hebrew word is yada. This isn't just a knowing a fact, like knowing the weather. It's an intimate, experiential knowledge. It's the way an architect knows every load-bearing wall and every hidden wire in a building before the first stone is even laid. He knew your capacity for joy. He knew the specific frequency your heart would beat at. He knew the measuring lines of your mission. You existed as a perfected design in the mind of God before you ever encountered the friction of the material world. When you feel out of place in this world, it's often because your soul remembers the perfection of that original blueprint. You know, just like the seedlings in my garden, those radishes and that corn pushing through the soil, even my new little gladiola that just sprouted, they aren't trying to become something new. They're simply unfolding what was already written inside them. You don't have to build a new identity from scratch. You don't have to hustle to prove your worth. Your only job is to remember, to look at the architecture of your life and realize that the surges and the stretches you feel are just the blueprint demanding to be expressed. You were sanctified, set apart for a specific territory. You were known, you were drafted, and the architect never makes a mistake in the drafting room. Now let's go under the surface of the English text. In Jeremiah 1:5, when the Creator says, "Before I formed you," the word in the original Hebrew is Yatsar. As you see here on the Blue Letter Bible, Yatsar, which is Strong's H3335, is a verb that means more than just to make. It's a specific action of a potter. It implies a hands-on, high-pressure squeezing and shaping. When the architect of the universe, Yatsar, you, he wasn't just assembling, a human being, right? He was a craftsman with his hands in the clay of your biology. He was squeezing the frequency of your spirit into the vessel of your nervous system. He was determining your capacity, shaping the walls of your heart and the pathways of your mind to hold exactly what he knew you would need for your mission. Now, if you look further down in the lexicon, you'll see that Yatsar also means to determine or to preordain. In modern terms, we call this a render. Think about a 3D architect rendering a building. Every electrical outlet, every support beam, and every fiber optic cable is placed with intent before the construction begins. You were rendered with the capacity for the surges you feel. That energy people call anxiety. In the blueprint, it was rendered as sensitivity. You were wired to be a highly tuned instrument, an antenna for the divine. If the potter shaped you to be a delicate, high-frequency vessel, you cannot expect to feel numb or quiet like a brick. You were designed to vibrate at a different level. So, when you look at your life and think, why am I so sensitive? Why do I feel so much? I want you to remember this screen. Remember, Yatsar, your nervous system is the wiring for the frequency of your soul. The potter didn't make a mistake in the wiring. He didn't give you too much energy. He gave you exactly enough to power the purpose he knew back in Jeremiah 1:5. You aren't malfunctioning. You're just operating on the high voltage lines of a divine blueprint. You aren't broken clay. You are a rendered masterpiece, still holding the fingerprints of the one who shaped you. And now that we've seen the potter's intent, we have to look at the physical scaffolding he used to bring that intent to life. In the Hebrew understanding, the nerves, tendons, and sinews are referred to as the gid. That's Strong's H1517. But the ancients didn't see these just as biological tissues. They saw the gid as the literal cords or sinews that bind the spiritual essence of a person to their physical frame. Think of your nervous system as the bridge between the blueprint we saw in Jeremiah and the material life you're living right now. Your nerves are the high-speed fiber optics, let's just say. Your nerves that's what it is to your spirit. They aren't just there to feel pain or move muscles. They are there to translate the instructions of the architect into the reality of your day. When you feel that flutter in your chest, or that sudden surge of energy that makes your hands shake, what are you actually feeling? Well, in the material world, we're told to call that anxiety, a sign that something is going wrong, right? But in the architecture of identity, that is actually a synchronization. That surge is the gid, your sacred wiring. It's trying to align your current reality with your divine blueprint. It's a high voltage download of information because you were designed as a high capacity vessel. Your wiring has to expand to hold the new territory the Creator is giving you. That pressure you feel, that isn't a glitch. That is the expansion of your capacity. What it is an invitation to expand, not a reason to panic. When a tree grows, the bark has to stretch and sometimes even crack to accommodate the new life inside. Your nervous system does the same. When the architect releases a new instruction for your life, your wiring feels the heat. The next time you feel that surge, I want you to stop and say, "My gid is authorized to hold this frequency. I am not panicking. I am expanding." You are simply feeling the power required to run the epic life you were designed for. You are becoming a wider conduit for the light. Now, take a deep breath with me. Not a shallow breath of stress, but a deep architectural breath that reaches all the way down to your roots. And as you exhale, I want you to acknowledge the architecture we've discussed today. Your nervous system isn't something you have to fight against. It is the scaffolding of your soul. Look at these seedlings in my garden. They aren't worried about whether they are enough or if they're growing correctly. They are simply occupying the space the Creator measured out for them. They are trusting the blueprint. I want you to say this out loud or whisper it in the quiet of your heart. I am not a glitch. I am a blueprint. I was rendered with intention, and I am wired for my mission. You were known before the womb, and you are supported right now. The same potter who shaped the gid, your sacred wiring, is the one who sustains it. If he designed the frequency, he has already provided the power. Stop trying to shrink yourself to fit into a world that doesn't understand your surge. Stop apologizing for the way you were rendered. Your sensitivity is your strength. Your awareness is your authority. Check your lines today. Occupy every inch of the territory you've been given because you belong there. I love you, tribe. I'm so grateful to be walking this garden path with you as we hit these new milestones together. Remember, you are beautiful, your design is perfect, and your territory is secure. So until next time, dear friends, I'm sending you peace, love, and blessings.